production countdown, but I'm Franklin. I think of audio issues. I don't know what's
Did your
going on.
intro end early?
Yeah, I guess it ended. I didn't see the countdown. But what's going on, y'all? I'm Franklin.
Marcy.
I'm Tristan.
What's up, y'all? We're covering episode 6 and 7 of 1923, the Taylor Sheridan limited series of the Dutton regime. So episode 6 was called The Mountain Teeth of Monsters, and 7 was called A Dream and a Memory. This season was critically talked about, for better or worse. There was a lot of mixed reviews on how this story ended, rightfully so. I think a lot of our concerns about this show really showed its teeth in the finale. Marcy, what was your thoughts on the last 2 episodes of this series?
Wow. Not pleased, sad, crushed, bleak. So, I mean, they looked beautiful, right? Like the scenery, everything, but damn, can't we have a happy ending for somebody and more better written female characters and just a better way to tell the story? That is my opinion. I didn't. There were some glimmers of hope in the finale, but no, that just dashed all of our hope. So didn't love him. Definitely didn't love him.
T-Money?
So you know what makes people so pissed about like Jon Snow's the end of his character?
I do, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
You go through all this shit, you know what I'm saying? Like you go through all this stuff over the course of seasons. You invest in a character, you invest in the peaks, their valleys, and then if you're not a book reader, of course, like you get to this point where like is this super climax, or like there's this thing that happens that can like surely affect the future climax. And in that case, is Jon Snow's a Targaryen. Jon Snow is the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark, and that should change the entire story, right? Because essentially what you realize is that is the story. And I feel like the same thing happened in season 2 of 1923. Honestly, it became a show that I still enjoyed, but also started to feel like a chore. You know what I'm saying? Like in order to get to the thing that I knew that we were inevitably getting to, because it was the better story, right? And it made logical sense and all these things. And I know that TV shows that sometimes subvert expectations. Like this is what like turned Game of Thrones from this kind of popular niche show to like a pop culture phenomenon. I think something we're going to talk about for 150, years from now. But like the better story is right here. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they missed the opportunity on a better story than what they ultimately told. And it just felt like I got to sit through all this crap just to get to like the actual story that it's not just the story that we want, but just the story that just was a better one to tell, man. Like that could have like upped the ante on the story. And I just felt like they let so much meat on the bone just going with predictable television.
It was a disappointing climax.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts, man. I'll start with the finale first. First off, I don't like shows that don't give clarity upon of the show starting. So we didn't know until recently that this was a series finale. There was so much ambiguity of whether or not this was going to continue after season 2. It was a season finale or a series finale, and that goes again with the writing of like not knowing what you have. It was the same problem with Yellowstone, the main series, of like not knowing when it ended, how it ended, the ambiguity of like whether or not we're going to do another season. I watching not just the last 2 episodes, but watching the 2 seasons in totality, it looked like Taylor and the writers didn't know what they had with the 2 main central characters. It looked like when they were writing Alex and Spencer, they thought, oh, this will be like an Elsa from 1883. We can end this in 1 season, and these 2 characters will be in lore for like a limited series. And I think when Brandon and Julia showed their ass in season 1, their acting chops and their chemistry on screen. And I'm not trying to be facetious when I say this. I'm not trying to be short-sighted when I say this. I think Taylor and company thought like, oh fuck, these motherfuckers are bussing. They're hitting on screen. They're like, I don't think I'm being remiss when I say this. They're the 2 most important characters in the Yellowstone universe. They trump Kevin Costner. They trump Rip and his wife, Beth in the main series. They had the ability to be cultural phenomenons that transcended over time. The love story was so unique in to a point where they could have been legendary. And I don't think Taylor knew what he had until they played their ass on screen in season 1.
Can I interject real quick?
Go ahead, please.
What you just described is Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. To a fucking T. What you just described was Steph Curry. Kevin Durant did not know what he had.
Yeah.
And it was like, actually, you had everything.
Yeah.
It's like what you're describing is what pissed me off so much. I'm like, dog, I think we started the show as Jacob and Carol's story.
Yeah.
We got fucking Harrison Ford. We got Helen Mirren. These are not legends. These are gods, right? But they long in the tooth. Like they have other commitments, yada yada. That was the story at the beginning. It was like, because it's picking up from what we saw in 1883. So Jacob essentially is the bridge, right? Like we find out about, how he picked up the torch for the family after his brother died. But what we found, like you said, like halfway through the season of season 1 is like, oh, no. That's the story. And I totally agree. I do not think Taylor Sheridan thought that at first, because the draw was always in Helen Mirren. Hell, that's why I was so excited. I'm like, oh shit, like, no, they're serious about this show because you have these 2 playing this role. What happened? You have 2 Brandon, Sklenar, I hope I'm saying that right, and Julia Schlaepfer, whatever, essentially become stars, you know what I'm saying, at least on this television medium. And it was because of that chemistry. It was because of the way the story was written. Like, that's beautiful writing. Like, just putting them together in the first place was beautiful writing. And they just, like you said, they simply did not think that it would become this already cult phenomenon. Like, it had a chance to like hit trends. We're not saying this is fucking Game of Thrones or in The Sopranos, but this was something that could like take the whole Yellowstone universe to a higher level, like to a thing that people talk about as prestige TV, because it hasn't been prestige TV. Yeah, it's been niche, like very good niche television. Like even the mainstream Yellowstone, like, yeah, people talk about it, but people don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not nobody's rapping about Yellowstone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not showing up on these bars. You know what I'm saying? So like, they just missed an opportunity. Both of you said it. Like, it's disappointing. Like, they just missed an opportunity to take the story to a much higher plane by thinking that they're subverting expectations, but really this was as predictable as it could have been because of some deeper, flaws that, the creator of these stories has. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because when I watched 1883, Elsa popped from episode 1. She just popped. Like you knew that she was going to be the central character of that story. Like you knew off the rip. And when her, spoiler alert, when her demise happened, it was tragic, Shakespearean, beautiful, but like it was wrapped up to a place where you knew, okay, this is a limited series. We're setting up 1923. Cool, I can live with it because it was a great season of 10 episodes, wonderfully well done. This Dutton's son wasn't even in 1883. He wasn't even born yet. That's why I know like he wasn't thought to be a central character because he wasn't even born yet in the prequel series prior to 1923. They kind of just they created this person and like, hey, he's gonna serve his purpose for 2 seasons and cool, be done. And even the actor, I've seen Brandon Sklenar's work. I've seen him in a couple of rom-coms. He's a good actor, but like, I mean, he hasn't done anything that was like mind-blowing that put him in Hollywood lore. This here, man, like I just knew I was going to get 4 or 5 seasons of the adventures of Spencer and Alex. I just knew it. I just knew I was going to get 1929 and 1931 and 1935. Like I thought I was going to get like a Desi and Lucy Arnaz version of Yellowstone for the next 4 or 5 seasons as a spinoff. And to not know what you had, like you do screen tests with these people, you do table reads with these people, like you do so much preliminary stuff before you even shoot that you know what you have by the time you go to shoot. And to not know what you've had and to not know the magneticness of these two people together and be so unprepared for season 2 of this show with these characters, it's asinine. I really have never seen anything like this before.
Especially when you realize the rest of the rest of the story in 1923, the rest of these plot lines aren't really that interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like it just hasn't been that interesting. You know, nothing has been as interesting as Alex and Spencer.
Yeah. And even with the writing, like some of the things that they went through was very like, oh my God, sharks, oh fuck, lost at sea, oh my God, a pride of mine, all of that, like a lot was just ridiculous. But again, their chemistry superseded the writing. That's like, think about that. Some of the writing was very questionable, but the chemistry superseded all of that to the point where they were must see TV as a tandem, and to get them back together for a span of what, maybe 15 minutes in season 2 that's inexcusable. Like how do you conjure that up and think that's okay? How is nobody in the writing room saying, hey man, I went back last night, bro, and watched season 1, man, and like I think we need to add a little more scenes of them together, bro. That's how just 15 minutes of the finale. I think we need to add at least another episode or another 30 minutes of them together. Like that was pretty good TV last season that we did with them two together. Let's go back and like rewrite this shit. Nobody had the presence of mind to like talk about that and like redo that. Like it just, I don't know. It's people gonna talk about this for a while, and it's not gonna be for good reason. So
the audacity of Taylor Sheridan and the writing team to just be like, they've already waited 2 years to see this story. Now let's drag it out for a whole season and then like break their hearts. That's going to be great, because not only did we miss a season of like Alex and Spencer, we missed a season of like Jacob and Spencer, Kara and Spencer. Like that could have also been a really great series, and they could have told some really great stories about Spencer actually being there in Montana and helping them keep the farm, and not the farm, the ranch. But like, you're telling me that we waited all of these months for Spencer to come home when all you needed to do was get inside Donald Whitfield's house and shoot him? Like that's all. Like you didn't need to wait for Spencer, and now like Spencer's wife is dead. It made no sense
at all. for me, it would have made more sense to have the final showdown between Whitfield and Jacob. Like, we know damn well hand-to-hand combat, Whitfield can't stand a chance, bro. Like, he's a rich white man tycoon who has lots of money and deep pockets with a masochist fixation. You think once him and Spencer get in the same room that he's gonna be a worthy opponent? Like, come on, man. Spencer done threw niggas off of ship decks. He done killed lions. He done fucking beat up gangsters. You think an old white man with a lot of money is gonna be a worthy adversary for him? Like, I thought that was kind of weird. I thought we was gonna get a Jacob Whitfield showdown. It would have made more sense. And again, to go back to the writing, even with the limited interaction of Jacob and Spencer, it made me smile. Like, they haven't that. Even though even the uncle and nephew, that father son dynamic, like it was magnetic for the a lot of time that we had with those two characters. I just wish we would have had more. It just I don't know how you just close everything. And I know there was supposed to be 8 episodes, and they took at the last episode, because even with the voiceover of Elsa, you could tell that they just and let's just say whatever happened off script. Off screen, and just have Elsa just wrap everything up. And then when you wrap everything up, you don't give me a wrap up of Tiona storyline. Elizabeth is leaving to go to wherever the fuck she's going with a dead baby in her belly. What's up her storyline? Like, it's where's that baby? Where's that bloodline? Is that bloodline still around? Like, what's going on with her story? Like, there was so many loose ends that you didn't wrap up, and it became just a Spencer wrap up of narration towards the last minute of that story. I'm like, why are you such a rush to end this story? It gave me David Benioff vibes from Game of Thrones. Like, you just ready to just throw away a story and just move on to the next subject, next topic. Last night we found out that Taylor is working on 1944. I don't think I want to watch it. Like, yeah, they're doing 1944. Like, so John Dutton II, the baby that was born in the finale, he'll be 21 years old in this storyline, and we still don't know if there's gonna be a Spencer in this story. But like, even if there is a Spencer in this story, you already told me what happened to Spencer over the next 45 years. Like, the writing's just disjointed. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
How much of it is that, at least with like Brandon Sklenar, like, he's becoming a bigger deal. You know, more movies. Got a movie coming out. What was it? Drop coming out. Harrison Ford, you know, has things. Hell, Helen Mirren's on a new show. You know, a new Taylor Sheridan show. Mm-hmm. Like, she's gonna get these Paramount checks. So it has to be some ulterior motive for, like, you know, maybe the actors are too busy. Maybe Julia Schlepper's about to, you know, hit a different level. Maybe she's getting roles, and it has to be because there was literally no reason for you to tell us about Spencer over the next 45 years. Like, we were already invested. You know what I'm saying? You got us invested in this character, and it doesn't mean anything. Everything we saw, the chemistry, like you said, between those two, like, we only got 10 minutes of it, you know, in this whole season. Again, and then telling us that we have a 1944, like, bro, like, there was no reason for you to kill off Alex. Like, you could have, like, this is what pissed me off, and I've been talking about it all season. You showed us all the different ways in which Alexandra Dutton could be resourceful, tough, all these things, where the biggest thing that she goes through is potentially losing a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so much that you could have, like, paid off with that. Like, okay, she's here in Montana. She gets to the ranch. Like, you know, there's a new set of people trying to take the ranch, because that's really the biggest main story that Taylor Sheridan wants you to know about this whole universe. You see her in these trenches because we've seen her prepare for it. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, you just took her from being privileged rich girl who kind of goes off on a whim with this man that she falls in love with, you know, gets separated from him, and, like, goes through all this just to get back to him for a couple minutes. Like, there's so much more story that they just left on the bone, because honestly, I think outside of like the actors having other things to do, I think that like it just all goes back to they did not plan for this to be the main story. And then I think there's just less because this is the main story. I think from the audience at large, we stopped being as interested in the Whitfield and all that shit, especially with the blowback and the criticism that storyline has gone through. The rest of the show just isn't that interesting, right? Like the thing that they could have reshaped the show into something better with Spencer and Alex. Instead, they like dove and like folded that into like the larger, less interesting story, and the whole season, the whole show. And really the perception of, this entire Yellowstone story timeline has kind of suffered for it. Like all this shit is tainted to me now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going back and thinking like, damn, why did he write Beth like that? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like cartoonishly fucking abrasive. Like why? You know what I'm saying? It starts to pick at so many other flaws and make them bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Marcy, what are your thoughts?
I agree completely with what Tristan has said. I'm not interested in 1944. You give me a bad climax once, I'm not coming back again. No, that is the end. I'm not interested again because you're going to drag out a story that's not very interesting just to try to make it more interesting. Hell no. Then like again, like you said, you've told us what happens to Spencer. He becomes a deadbeat daddy. Like he has a kid with a widow but refuses to marry her, and then which we assume like he also refuses to like say that he's the father, and then she disappears. Does that mean she just goes away, or does she get sent to the train station? I have so many questions now, but I don't care to find out the answer. And I refuse to think that like the Honorable Spencer Dutton, a few years down the line, just because his wife has died, is now like, oh, kid's not mine, or I'm not gonna marry you because I've already like lost my one true love. Like he changed that much from like being an honorable man who like comes halfway across the world to save his family's ranch to just being like some fuck boy. I don't think so. That also seems very off brand.
You spent 2 years building this character profile to destroy this character profile within 30 seconds of a narration. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. I don't it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe something comes out next month or 3 months from now that Brandon Sklenar and Taylor had beef, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna destroy your fucking character and ruin you. That's what I'm gonna do. Shout out to you, Brandon Sklenar. Like it has to be the way that character.
What's more likely is we find out that Taylor Sheridan is on a coke binge and is about to check
pretty much.
Like this is coke behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like I got it.
That's what's going to turn the show around.
You know how Benioff and Weiss made Peter Dinklage idiot? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They made Tyrion a fucking idiot in the last season. I'm like, dog, you spent all this time showing us that he was not just smart, but one of the smartest characters in the whole thing, and then you made him one of the dumbest. Like, come on, man, that's too big a range, man. Like, you could have told me, hey, Spencer remarried, but he was never as in love. Like, you could have said this. Right. You could have said the same thing. The same point here is that he was so heartbroken from losing his love that it affected him emotionally in some type of way. You didn't have to make him into a fucking deadbeat. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? And then, like, as much as I love this, the chemistry between Spencer and Alex, like they were together 20 minutes, you know what I'm saying, out of 2 seasons. Like you cannot spin that and then make him this deadbeat, this dishonorable man over this short ass marriage that you, Taylor Sheridan, did not give enough time to like breathe. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to make us believe that. Like this show don't fucking tell. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to make us believe that it was this great love. Otherwise, it starts to look like from the outside in like a fling that he's over romanticizing. You see what I'm saying? Like we get to see what could be of the love. But for those of us that are married, you know what I'm saying? Like even the greatest loves take longer to develop, you know what I'm saying? And the show did not give them enough time to develop to make us believe that could have been that damn strong. That it would change his whole fucking behavioral pattern. Like I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and that's bad writing. When I listen to rappers talk about anything, you know what I'm saying? Like women, like childhood, like success, whatever. And if you can't make me fucking believe it, then I don't believe it. That's bad writing. Like, just period. You know, when I read students' essays and like they start telling stories that I know that they lying in, and they wonder how I know they're lying. And I tell them like, you did that really happen? Like I asked them like, and they can't lie to me. So I'm like, that's bad writing. You can't make me believe it. That's all writing is, making me believe it. I'm reading a fictional story, you know what I'm saying? And I'm visualizing what's happening. You have to make me believe it. And it was just a failure in paying off these characters two characters that they successfully built up, but they just can't make us believe the teardown. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a failure right there. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive that. You know, so like I'm just being honest with you.
Because I think it would be more of like a dishonor to Alex's memory. That instead of like, you know, he was able to find love again, like you said, Tristan, but he wasn't as in love as he was because he always, like, Alex will always be like his big love. But like, you still let him fall in love again and experience some kind of happiness. But I think it's more of a dishonor in Alex's memory that he was so broken by her death that he just became somebody that would, again, just to have a fling with a widow and then not take responsibility. And then again, she disappears and we don't know how she has disappeared, if it's on her own accord or not. So I think that spits more in the face of her memory than like, you know, he was able to find love again because he believes so much in his first love that he's like, you know what? This was so great. And I may never meet somebody that I love as much as Alex, but I want to try to find something like that again because this was so great. I want to experience this again. And no, it's like, no, I just want some ass.
And how many of these Dutton dudes are dishonorable?
None of them.
Like, absolutely none of them.
None of them.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
Jamie don't count because Jamie's not true Dutton. So yeah, none of them.
So you gonna tell me that the Purple Heart ass, you know what I'm saying, war hero, lion killer, you know, like dude who fought across the world, across the globe to get back to his wife to save his family and come back for his wife to come back and take over for the family. Like he just became essentially like my dude from Snowfall, you know, like he just completely gone, you know what I'm saying? He's completely out of there. Like I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it sounds like, hey, we have to wrap this story up now. So one, how can we wrap it up as quickly as possible? And two, because we have to wrap it up so quickly, we can't really land this plane the way we want to in like describing the heartbreak that Spencer had gone through. So we just have to make it as sensational as possible. And again, I cannot forgive that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that, like Benioff and Weiss, that's something I'm gonna remember forever. You know what I'm saying? Even off this little show, again, that's a niche show built off a fucking cowboy western drama. Like, but people love this shit because what you presented to us is one of the few great things that 1883 or 1923 have produced. Really, everything else has just been like cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes, you know, going through Western expansion, like, you know, dealing with the natives and all this other stuff. Like that stuff is good, but it's not great. It's not something that you like, I have to watch. I can't wait to watch this shit It's a chore. 1883 was a chore. Like that shit was sad. It was depressing. 1923 was a slightly more entertaining, depressing. You know what I'm saying? Like the goal that you had, you completely messed that up. You know what I'm saying? And from the jump, we were saying it in season 1, like, hey, it shouldn't take too long. Like, come on now. Like, we're not doing that because we're expert TV writers, but like we are fans of great TV. And like when they were on the screen together and their story was great TV. And they just said, forget it. We got to get this shit over with.
Oh man, yeah, y'all cooking like the rinse do, dog. God damn, this is great dialogue, man. No, I agree. I agree unequivocally with y'all, with both of y'all about it not being believable, the storyline, destroying character legacies. It's just a bad beat, man. Let's focus on some of the other characters, and their storylines or lack of wrap ups with their storylines as well. I will say Banner's character, his story arc, was one of the few arcs that I thought came to a decent close. With how he started and how he ended. I made a prediction back on our second podcast of this season about his character. Brittany, go play it away, Brittany. That they're in. Jacob is a 1%er. Like we look at Jacob, when we look at these guys like him, they're 1%ers. They're not struggling the same way that Banner and many men like him are struggling. So I think the human element is going to come to pass, and I think Banner. I won't say he's going to regret working with Whitfield, but I do think that he'll see the light and the evil that he sees in Whitfield and tries to bypass that and work with the Duttons, especially when Spencer gets back. I think. It's one of the few predictions I got right, because I was way off on a lot of predictions. But with Banner, Banner's storyline was interesting to me because how violent his beginning was with the Duttons, almost killing Jacob, taking out Spencer's brother. He was painted as a villain, and season 2 gave me more light on not just Banner, but like how men of that time were, especially men of poverty, immigrants who are just trying to find a better life for their family and for them and for their legacy moving forward. And the more I watch Banner, especially like I wish we would have had more intimate moments with Banner and his family to really push home the point of like he's doing this for the family and not just the singular conversation with his wife. I wish we had more interaction with his son. His son had one speaking line in the whole season. I wish we had more time to like really show the human element of why Banner is doing what he's doing. But I mean, all these characters are all fucked as far as like their writing, but I thought Banner's closure was at least decent. And the only thing that came out of all the weird horror play that Whitfield was partaking in and the abuse, that it gave Banner light that, look, man, I don't want to work for this devil anymore. What you're doing is wrong. And he said a line in there like he's hurting people for enjoyment. I'm just trying to take care of my family. This is nothing but game to him. And I thought that line was one of the more iconic lines in the 2 seasons of the show, because that one line to his wife humanized him to me. And I think it humanized him to the crowd and to the audience as well. I thought his ending was fitting, especially as he sacrificed himself trying to protect his family while trying to do the Duttons right. Marcy, what was your thoughts on Banner's story and how it ended?
Yeah, like I loved his arc. We could see it coming from a couple episodes, and then we saw him regress a little bit after, his wife was basically like, I don't care, get us money. But again, I think maybe that's, like you said, the whole point of, the whole storyline with the prostitutes and all that was for Banner just to see how terrible Whitfield is. Although, like, dude, like, you could have seen that without like the prostitute story. But I like, again, how he was able to realize like hey, Jacob is just doing what he's doing because he's also trying to survive, right? Doesn't mean that what he's doing is wrong, right? Or like maybe he should have shared like his pasture with us so like our sheep could graze. Like it would have been great if we could have like worked out a solution that benefited all of us, but we couldn't. And Jacob, he was going to protect his land and his livelihood. Whitfield is just doing it to be a dick, and he gets off on inflicting pain on others. So I'm glad he was able to come to that realization and get his family to safety and kind of help out the Duttons. I thought that was fitting that he was able to then kind of save the day a little bit when he kind of created this whole range war that we've got going on. But I think it was a fitting ending. I would have also not been bummed if he would have lived, right? Like let him get away or like put him in jail. Like that would have also been okay. But he died, and I was kind of like, oh, Banner, like you came full circle and now you're dead. But it is what it is.
I agree with y'all. I think it was a cool ending, solid ending. It just, to me, demonstrates the bigger character, the bigger flaw in this series is like the way these side characters are just kind of treated as like NPCs. Like we don't have enough time to develop the relationship between Banner and his son. We don't have enough time to see, honestly, much of any interaction between Banner and his wife to see, okay, how deep is she in the like, hey, we need to like move up, you know what I'm saying, in this world? Like how much is it? How much is she like, okay, I just want to work hard for our kids or our family? Like we don't really see. So when we do actually get interaction from her, it's we're made to kind of see her as like this cold bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like that hasn't really been earned. And even like, yeah, we could have benefited from seeing more Banner and seeing like how he not just interacts with his family, but like the men around him. Like we got to see some of that in season 1. From there it's just Banner and Whitfield, and that kind of reduces Banner into being more of a side character in Whitfield's character. Like the show is just kind of struggling with telling so many different stories and like pushing forward like their arcs, into the forefront and like make it like really with better shows, with better writing. There's so much more complexity to these characters. It's like even your side characters, like okay, they may not be the main part of the story, but we can still feel something for them. You know what I'm saying? We can still decide if we like them or not. We decide if they're right or not. Decide, with them it's just like, hey, you're one thing and one thing only, and we may bend it a little bit to kind of fit this, and we'll definitely bend it at the end when we want to fit the narrative of the story. But it all feels unearned to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, man. Like the characters that you have, they get swallowed up by the central characters, and it's a shame because they show so much potential, so much glimmer of like perspective to where you root for them or they generate. I think part of great writing is that no matter how big or small the character, they generate a reaction with the crowd. They generate something in you, whether it's distraught, whether it's anger, whether it's happiness, whether it's joy. They generate something. And there were times in Banner's story where I forgot that he shot Jacob, or I forgot that he attacked Jacob in season 1 because he was so far removed from what he did, and like the story kind of like lost its way as far as like what happened and what he did. Like I forgot. Like you had more time. There was more time with Banner being wrapped up in a room full of either dead whores or whores that were alive, or him fucking with women, like than actual telling Banner's story, which I thought, which again is a good leeway to talk about the women of this story and like the treatment of this story. There's been a stark negative reaction, and rightfully so, with the way the women were treated in their arc and their ending. From Tiona to Alex to Elizabeth to the women that play the prostitutes in this story, just nothing but abuse, prejudice, violence towards sexual misconduct, with no gleam of light, no gleam of like productive story writing with these characters. The prostitutes in the story had more run than Elizabeth did. They had more run than Tiona. Like it didn't make sense. I don't understand why you spent so much time parading these women around in that light. And like, what was the point of like writing a new prostitute into the story? I didn't. What was the point of that? You
and not giving us any backstory, not telling us like what. I mean, we should care about her because she's a person and a woman,
exactly,
vulnerable. But like, why should we care about her character? You know what I'm saying? Why should we be invested? Why should we be? You know, we should be screaming at the TV. Don't go. This will be bad. Like this. It's just she's a non-playable fucking character. Like, and they just kind of throw her in and say, okay, care about her now. And it takes more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, to make a great show. Like, maybe the goal of this was not to make a great show. Maybe the goal of this was to tell something that is adjacent to the main Yellowstone show and kind of use that to the momentum of this bigger show to supplement the smaller shows. But no, we start expecting a great show. And it's not, so escorts, Elizabeth, Alex, obviously, hell, even Cara Dutton, like all of the women in this story are caricatures of what they think. You know, like we have the blonde Northeastern girl who comes into the country and can't handle it and all this other shit. Like everything is just like so basic and there's just not a lot of complexity to these things. We're not told to care about these characters. Like we're not shown why we should care about. And the one that we do care about, like the one that we have invested in, is just made to go through complete danger in order to like prove this larger point about, hey, look, this love that was, inevitable and meant to be and all this other shit. But like, you could have had Spencer meet Alex early in season 1. Soon after, he gets a letter or something, a telegram, he needs to come home. It's like they could have went through a few things. Boom, that's it. Eventually, they get to Montana, and then that's when the real story fucking goes. But like to tell that same story, they had to drag it out and put her through every single piece of danger imaginable just to tell a larger story. Like even Spencer didn't go through that much damn danger, you know what I'm saying, relative to who his character was. So like it continues this theme of like, in order to prove a larger point, hey, the 1920s were brutal on minorities, women, natives, yada yada, poor people. Like, it was just a brutal time and it was lawless in certain places. Like in order to show you that, here's women being raped, here's women being beaten, here's women being killed, like all these different things. Like we don't need all of it to show this, to tell the same story. And again, it makes me look at Elsa. Why did Elsa have to die so young? Especially after, she found like love and was happy. Like there was some hope, there was some glimmer of hope and happiness in that show. And they snuffed that shit out very quickly. You look at Beth, again, the way her character is not just rude and abrasive, not just cocky and arrogant. All it's like, let's turn this shit all the way up to a 10 and kind of reinforce this, bratty bitch that the show tried to portray her as so much. Like Taylor Sheridan has a woman problem in the shows. And I think that what makes it worse in a lot of ways is I think he is so wrapped up in his intentions of like, hey, I do believe that he, genuinely wants to demonstrate and show, hey, times were rough on women. You know what I'm saying? But like, do that in a 2-minute scene or 3-minute scene, not a fucking 7-minute scene where not just one doctor is, groping this woman while checking it to check, see if she's pregnant. But we got to bring a second one in. Was that necessary to tell the same story? So
bars.
It's frustrating to watch, like a show that has the potential to be this good. I should not have to skip through. we don't, I'm hitting the 30-second button, not the 10-second button. Like, I skip this whole shit. I don't need to see all of it to tell the same thing. Like, Taylor Sheridan, I'll end by saying this. Taylor Sheridan needs somebody who's like, like the dude on the coaching staff who keeps Sean McVay from like getting, like bumping into referees and stuff like that. Like the person who holds them back on the sideline. That's what Taylor Sheridan needs. Like, hey, bro, this is enough. We've demonstrated it enough. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Let's leave the audience kind of visualizing at least other things that have happened, but we can move on here. And he doesn't have it, and the show suffers and has suffered because of that.
Brittany, one of our great podcasters and producers of the show, she talks about Handmaid's Tale every so often, and I always tell the same thing. I don't want to watch that because I don't want to watch women being abused for 45 minutes to an hour. This felt like Handmaid's Tale of 1923 for every woman on the show. The very thing I tried to avoid, I got in full-fledged in this show for every woman. I think Kara's the only one that didn't. I mean, with Kara in a small token, but like every woman outside of Kara went through some type of sexual misconduct, violence towards them, and it was at a 10. And I think about this season, and I'm like, are any of these episodes rewatchable? Do they have any type of rewatch value? And because of the violence of women, the violence to women in this season, I don't want to watch any of these episodes again. I've only watched each episode once in season 2. The Spencer Alex storyline and episode in season 1 had a lot of rewatch value. This season had no rewatch value. It just didn't because of the violence towards women. And you lost. And I guess I want to ask Taylor, is that the story that you put on tape for these women, for your female viewers to watch, was it worth losing a large population of your viewership, predominantly women viewers? Was it worth it? The story that you told, did you think it was worth it to lose the women that you lost in viewership? Because I don't think it was. Like this story was told in vain as far as a lot of the women on characters on the show.
Was it worth losing your story? You know what I'm saying? Like the time that was spent with Banner and the women in his house, that could have been spent on developing, Jacob and Jack of all people. You know what I'm saying? Like more time spent there. Like again, the whole reason we're watching the show is because we care about the Dutton family tree. You know what I'm saying? As introduced through Yellowstone, make us care more about these characters. Again, these 8 episodes, 7 episodes, 6 episodes, like you can't do that and also kind of force a lot of these characters on us without giving us a reason. Unless you don't think these characters should be that important. You think they just, hey, bit pieces, in a larger show, a larger story, which is the Duttons. Okay, cool. But like, you have to understand that that's going to make the story worse. You're like, you can't have both. So either you want us to focus on the Duttons, then let's focus more on the Duttons. Why should we care about this ranch that people are trying to take away? Why should we care about this land? You know what I'm saying? Because hey, it's this family here, and they have these values, and they work hard. They might do some gangster shit every now and then, but who doesn't? Amongst these times. But like, we care about them. That's why we care about them in Yellowstone, and that's why we cared enough to watch 1883, because we wanted to see the beginning of that. Like, tell these stories. The story is not. I know this. I know the message that he wants to tell. I know that it comes from a good place. The story is not how bad women had it in the 20s, right? And because it's not the story, we don't have to like go extra hard in like proving that point. You can still show the violence against women. You know what I'm saying? Because that is something that happened and was prevalent, and it did occur in a much less regulated space, even though, the cesspool that we have now, because of the times. You can tell that story. That's important. We don't need to see it in spades. And I think that's what you were talking about, Frank. Like, what you thought you were going to get, you got 10 times more of. And that time could have been spent developing other characters and just making the overall story better. That time could have been spent on more Spencer and fucking Alex. Like, which I will beat that drum until it's over.
Marcy, tell me your thoughts about Tiona's storyline and how did you feel with that storyline wrapping up the last 2 episodes?
Again, more trauma porn inflicting pain on this native character. Again, to show us how hard it was. We know how hard it was, unless like we want to stick our head in the sand like some people in this country do and say that, look, no, it wasn't bad. Like, yeah, it was part of our history and most of us know that. Did we have to see? We've already talked about what she went through in season 1 in our last pod, so I won't rehash a lot of that. But in this pod, she is on the run. She has lost her man, her father. She has had to come face to face with the priest again. She had to kill him. She's trying to get away. Eventually gets taken in, right? And then she eventually like gets set free because they're incompetent. They don't have any witnesses. But she went through all that now to be like, I don't know where to go. She's still a 15, 16-year-old girl, basically, who's now all on her own. All she has is a horse and whatever she's wearing on her back. And then the native guy at the end was like, hey, you know, like it was worth you like standing up and fighting. And then her answer was like, well, I lost everything, which is true. But I think that sends a wrong message that like you shouldn't stand up and fight for yourself because like you can lose it all. I didn't like that message, that maybe it's like better if you just stayed silent and took the abuse because it may end up like being worse. You'll, lose everything. So I didn't love that. And it just goes to show that Taylor just loves to show women going through trauma. I don't know what kind of trauma he has to like to put this on the screen, but it's way too much. And he needs definitely to spend some time with women and learn how to write women better and learn how to write them as real people and not serving the story. I mean, even Kara, she is serving the story of like what Jacob's story is. Alex in this season, she is making this whole trek to get to Spencer to save his family's farm, to be part of his story. That's all we get from her. Like, we don't have any more of like her wants and desires and dreams and backstory other than she's in love with Spencer and she's obsessed with him and she needs to get back to him, and that ends up killing her. So Taylor, please write women better. We are real people, not just things not just like props to like, use for a man's storyline or to help a man develop himself. Like, that is like way old and tired.
Marcy, 24-0 run. God damn.
God damn it.
God damn.
Well, Marcy, on this podcast, you will always lead the charge with your opinions.
Thank
it will be greatly appreciated and accepted and admired and uplifted. God damn it.
I will set the screens. God damn. Oh, good Lord.
No, but I mean, look, man. Marcy's speaking number facts, man. I think in season 1, when Tiona's character is first revealed, right? I thought the goal was, yes, her being Native American, we knew there was going to be trauma, a lot of trauma, and showing like the conflict of how white people treated the indigenous people of this country. I knew that was going to be in play just based on the character's ethnicity, right? I thought going into this series with her character, I thought I was going to get like a family tree bloodline of how Thomas Rainwater in the main series came about and where his upbringing came from. Because in the main series Yellowstone, we know that Thomas Rainwater was adopted by Mexican parents, and that's it. We don't know much about his heritage or about his parents and his bloodline. And I thought we was gonna get that storyline with Tiona, and you in a series with like we don't even know where Tiana's even going. They mentioned Mexico, but like we don't know if she's going to California. We don't know if she's going to Mexico. We don't know if she just said fuck it and just is staying and wherever she's at. Like you left that story. You made that woman, that poor woman, go through all that shit and didn't even explain where her bloodline and what she's going to next. And it's like, how much can a woman endure for this storyline, and what's the payoff? It's like with all the women on the show, none of them got a fair payoff. No, there was no glimmer of hope. There was no happiness. There was no like no just due to a lot of these women. And it's like I didn't understand. She lost her husband, her father, and she went to jail all in a 45-minute span in the last 2 episodes. I'm like, what? And this is her going through abuse at the school with a nun and abuse by the white men and the marshal and the Catholic priest. I didn't understand all the suffering. Like what purpose did it serve? It just I don't know. It pissed me off to be honest. In again, and Tristan, to go back to what you said about, it might have been Marcy. To go back, Marcy, with the women characters in the show, how they kind of play off other characters and it kind of disintegrated their arc. What was the point of Mammy's character, the marshal? She didn't apprehend the people that killed. She didn't apprehend the marshal. She didn't apprehend the reverend. By the time her character comes to full fruition, she gets to the aftermath of everything. Everybody's dead, and she brings Tiana in to go to court. Like she's a young great actress. You brought her in only to clean up and play garbage woman. Like I didn't understand that I just knew she was gonna be like some Lone Rangers type shit that's gonna come in and like team up with Tiana and take down the marshal and take down the priest and like right their wrongs and make that marshal turn in his badge and like really make this heroine character come to light. And I didn't get any of that.
That's also what I was expecting. And I think they used a woman. Again, she's like a historical character, right? But I think it was because we need a woman marshal because she'll be sympathetic to Tiana, right? Like we can't have a man marshal. Like no man's going to be sympathetic to a Native woman during this time. We just have to bring in a woman because they're going to be sympathetic, right? Like it was sexist writing from Taylor. We could have had a lot more from that character, and that's all he brought her in for. Like, oh, she has to be a woman because she'll be the one that's sympathetic and let Tiana go.
And empathetic to Spencer, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Same way, like she'll understand, she'll call, Montana, like whatever. But yeah, back to what you said, friend. Like, first of all, the show never really could explain where they wanted Tiana to go in general. You know what I'm saying? From the jump, it's like, okay, we're going to use this Native American girl at this school to demonstrate, the divide between white people and natives, obviously, the sexual corruption of the priests, like just kind of plant that seed there, the church essentially using religion to justify like this abuse, all these things. But like once she gets on the run, it just becomes about survival. We really don't see any development of her character. Every decision that she's made is based on survival. You know what I'm saying? Like she happens to run into her father. You know what I'm saying? Like things happen. Like there's no really character development. Like what conflicts did she go through? Where does she have to kind of make these decisions? Like why should we care about Tiana other than we're invested in her because we just want to see her fucking win because of everything that she's gone through? But like, how can we develop her as a character, somebody that we'll remember, and not just as a caricature of a larger message that you're trying to, tell, not as this poster girl for Native American, teen abuse, like, or how bad the church can be. Like we just needed more. But again, when you don't set out to develop these characters from the jump, you might stumble onto a character that people actually want to hear from, but you're not really prepared, because you only looking at this. I'm sure they only thought of 1923 as maybe a one season thing, like a one off. But like you said, they found gold in one story, not thinking that, hey, people would also be started investing in these other stories that, we just expected to be developed, and it just didn't happen. And that's Tiana's just another thing. Like, where is she going? You know what I'm saying? Like, for you to not tell us where she actually ends up, even in a damn montage, like,
yeah,
we just sat with her for 2 seasons and she's still alive. So, like, yes, we need a wrap up on that character. You know what I'm saying? And doing that just tells me that you only see one story as worthy of that, and everything else is kind of just, you'll forget about it eventually. And that again, that's a shame.
Unless she's the widow that Spencer knocked up. Who knows? Maybe she didn't make it to California. She made it back to Montana and met up with Spencer. We don't know. And then, like, Thomas Rainwater is part of the Dutton lineage. I think Taylor's just setting it up for like a 1944 and hoping people are like, oh, I need to see how the story wraps up and I need to invest in watching 1944. Sorry, bro, I'm not going to do it. I'll just, if you make one, I'll wait until the end and just kind of like read the recap.
I don't even think he knows how these bloodlines are created. I think he's literally just making shit up as he goes.
I think he used ChatGPT or something. Like,
yeah,
ChatGPT, write me season 2 of 1923, and this is what we got.
That's what it felt like. It felt like he's just like he's flipping a coin. Like, this character is gonna die. This character is gonna be alive in 1944. This character is gonna die. Like, it's just like he's two-facing everything. Like, that's what it feels like, and it doesn't make sense. To keep on this theme with the women on the show, I want to talk about Elizabeth and the frustration I have with her character too. So she's one of the few women that actually survived and like was able to walk away scot free, right? Like, from what we understand and what we saw on screen, she's pregnant. She finds out that she was pregnant by her husband Jack, and Jack dies. And in the finale, she's leaving. We don't know where she's going. We didn't get a montage about her wrap up. We didn't get any closure with the baby. Did the baby survive? Did she birth the baby? Like, where in the main timeline, that bloodline, that's a Dutton baby. Where is that Dutton baby as opposed to the main timeline? Like, there's so many unwrapped questions with her character. And again, it's she was so wrapped up, and she was mostly in the house most of the season of season 2, just for 3 episodes, just taking shots, rabies shots, laying in bed, a couple single dialogue with Kara here, one dialogue with Jacob there. But again, she was a character that was pretty much shelved in season 2 with no real purpose and no real direction. And I think, again, with Marcy, with your point, with a lot of these female characters being tied to other characters, once Jack died, once they decided to have Jack run off and get killed, it left Elizabeth, who was not a formally formed character at this point, kind of on an island. And you don't really see her again until the finale, where she's hiding under a table with a shotgun, and then when she leaves the ranch. And again, like, the ambiguity endings of these characters or incomplete storylines of these characters that you had 2 years to fucking write prior to this premiere and not have any clarity is asinine. I don't understand it. And again, and if 1944 comes about, does that child come back around? Is that child even relevant in this new series coming out? Because again, we don't know anything as far as like these kids and how is germane to the bloodline of the main timeline of the main Yellowstone story. So
I didn't love how Kara was cold to her, right? Like, she's leaving with a Dutton heir, maybe. Like, we don't know. They didn't say if she was still pregnant or not, but she's like, you'll fall in love again and you'll forget Jack. And, of course, Elizabeth's like, no, like, I'll still remember and still love him. She's like, no, you won't. Like, you'll just find someone else and you'll get married. Made no mention of a baby. I just thought it was just so odd that Kara was just so cold toward her after she'd taken care of her. And like, people online were saying, well, you know, she was just tired of Elizabeth's bullshit. But I wonder if Taylor wrote her for us to be tired of it and be like, oh, like, you're not down, you're not willing to stay there and like sacrifice for Jack. But also, like, what is the point of all of that sacrifice? Like, it is okay to determine, like, this life is hard and I want to go back to Boston. And Jack, like, if you stay here, you will die, because that's what's going to happen. Either we'll die from this winter that never ends, or, you know, they're going to kill you for your ranch. And that's exactly what happened to Jack. So I think we were supposed to dislike Elizabeth for that. But why are we disliking a woman for choosing that this life isn't for her and wanting something better? That kind of irked me that they made Kara be so cold to her because she was leaving. Like, what did you expect her to do? Just stay around and be another widow that's sad and lonely?
That was the writers feeling themselves, because we've been, oh man, Kara with the bars, Kara dropping these bars, and like, she did, but it went totally against what Kara's character was and what she would say just in regular terms. It distracted. It took away from like the trust and relationship that Kara and Elizabeth had built up, you know, because, you know, y'all running loose with these lines. I didn't like that either. But like, again, like you said, no mention of the baby. I feel like once they got to 1944, the logic is that people will just forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it's a misunderstanding of your audience.
It's so stupid.
Like, there are multiple YouTube videos you can easily dedicated to the Dutton family tree. Like, dedicated. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they update. I see them like when I refresh. Like, and like, so you are misunderstanding that, like, we're paying attention. You know what I'm saying? And we are noticing the details. Like, you can't get over on your audience, and that's what I feel like. That's been the biggest insult. It's like, bro, you don't think that we paying attention? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think, like, again, like, this is just some sideshow that we'll rock with until we get back to the main show. And it's like, no, like, this is not just like a spinoff. This is something that, because we rock with Yellowstone so much, we want to see the whole story be put together. And it's just not, you know what I'm saying? Because he just, again, allegedly or presumably on a coke binge, you know what I'm saying? Like,
allegedly.
I don't want to get sued out here. You know what I'm saying? But like, it seems like it's just as we go. Like, he's super impulsive. I bet if you met Taylor Sheridan, like, he would just be a dude who just got up and just left the house for no reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not even thinking shit through. So, Elizabeth, great shot with a shotgun, you know, like, shout out. This would have been super weird, but like, it would have been more believable, especially for that time, if instead of Elizabeth leaving, she raised that child with Spencer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That would have been more believable. You know what I'm saying? It would have been more indicative of Spencer's character, definitely, other than being a deadbeat. And it would have given more weight to Elizabeth and all the struggles that she had gone through in these 2 seasons. It's like, we did all that just for her to leave, just for Alex to die. Like, goddamn, like, don't marry and don't be a Dutton. Don't marry a Dutton, man. You either blow your brains out in the dead of night, you know what I'm saying, or like all kind of other bad shit is gonna happen to you. So I didn't like anything about this episode. I didn't like much of anything about the season outside of a few things, and that really crystallized it as well.
You made a good point, Tristan, about it would have made more sense for Spencer, who lost his nephew, to take on the helm of being the patriarch of that family and raising both kids, John and ex Dutton with Elizabeth and them being a unit, on that ranch. It would have made more sense. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. There's so much untied, potentially great storylines. Again, I know we're going back a little bit, but to have Alex die and not even have the potential meet up with Kara.
Yeah.
Helen Mirren and Julia in one scene would have been beautiful to see. And we never got that. I made a prediction, a half-ass prediction, episode 5 of our podcast, when I asked you guys, do you think Spencer and Alex both get to Montana? And I said I wouldn't be surprised if Alex didn't make it alive to Montana. I said that, and I said it half-heartedly, but the way the story was going, I was like, bro, like Taylor's so treacherous, man, with his writing, and so and a lot of these characters just go away in vain. I wouldn't be surprised if she got to the footsteps of Bozeman and she just died.
Yeah,
and that's what pretty much happened. Like to have Helen Mirren and this young actress Julia not get a scene together is wild to me. Probably the two prominent Dutton women of this series not get a line together is asinine. You missed out on so many great moments by doing what you did to Julia's character, and it's ridiculous how we got robbed of that moment. Even like I'm watching the finale, and I'm watching Kara go to the hospital door, and as she opens it, I'm hoping like, man, please, Alex, just be coherent. Just walk in the Kara and just say something, a witty line, something like, hello, daughter-in-law or niece-in-law, just something to like know that they've met and know that there's a connection there, because that's a younger version of Kara in the hospital bed. It would have been nice to see that mirror image of Kara looking at her younger self in the hospital bed, and we didn't get that. And it's like, what the fuck are you smoking, bro? To like not to have that set up and like not let that come to pass. And look, the Jacob Julia moment. I mean, the Jacob Alex moment was beautiful. It was great. But goddamn, man, what could have been if you had Kara and Alex right there? Even having Kara in there as she's delivering the baby would have been dope. You know what I'm saying? Just as motivational speak. With the amount of just violence and just disrespect towards women. Just imagine how powerful that scene would have been if Kara would have walked in that birthing room and coach Alex having that baby and dropping some bars like, you guys, you are goddamn Dutton. You're gonna make it through this shit. Now pass along that air and let's get through this. Just having that potential moment would have been so grand for TV, and it got robbed from us.
Just like Move said, she went through all of that just to be killed off because of sacrifice. And women, we have to sacrifice ourselves, right? That's what is expected of us, right? Like, she had her baby, she sacrificed, she wanted to spend some moments with the baby because, like, I get it, right? Like, I'm not a parent, but I know that that's important. But also, like, you wanted to spend those few minutes with your son, but now, like, you are setting him up to live a life without his mother. Like, you could potentially live. Yes, they will amputate the bottom half, like the bottoms of your legs, and you'll lose a hand, but you will be alive to be there for your child instead of these few minutes that you may have with him. You may be incoherent because you're on the verge of death, but you sacrificed, and that's all society expects of us, right? And she even said something that kind of made me upset. She's like, what kind of a mother would I be if I didn't? And it's like, bitch, you will be an alive mother. And also, like, what kind of a mother sets off on a voyage that you had no clue what you were doing. A month on a ship, you could have gotten like some crazy diseases and died. What kind of a mother exposes herself to that? You get on a train, again, you have no clue what's going on. You beat a man's brains out, basically. You could have gotten sent to jail. What kind of a mother does that? You set off on a road trip with these two English people that had also no clue. The gas attendant told you, do not set off right now because there are no more gas stations. You still decided to do it. What kind of mother does that? So I'm like, yes, great that you sacrificed and you got your moment with the baby and then Spencer, and like, great. Like, we love a woman who sacrifices her life, but bitch, like, there were so many other moments where you were so reckless and careless just because you needed to get to this man who you were so in love with. But then she told Spencer, I didn't stay in England because I wasn't sure you would come back for me. Don't you believe enough in your love that Spencer would definitely go back for you? Come on. Like, that made no sense. Like, you don't trust Spencer enough to go get you, that you were so impulsive and reckless. And I get it that you're 22 and that was stupid, but damn, bitch, like, you died and it's kind of your fault.
You know what's funny? The thing they paid off the most in this episode was Alex dying, or Alex being trapped in the cold, right? Like, it wasn't that she was just so fucking cold. She had to damn near get her arms and legs amputated. Like, we can't just make her super cold. We can't just put her out into the fucking wilderness. We have to like take even more from, so like, from seeing her essentially raped, or seeing her robbed, seeing her almost die, almost get eaten by lions, all these things, and we get to the end point where she actually gets to meet Spencer, and we have even more hell. Now you got to choose between baby and your life, your legs, your limbs, all these things. So, bro, like, it was just a master class in like trauma porn on a character that we loved and honestly should have built a large majority of the story out of. It's a shame, man. Like, this gets a good 3 out of 10 from me, bro. So I'm sorry.
We got Whitfield vibes from Taylor Sheridan, like in real life, like the way he was treating these women. It felt like watching Whitfield on TV was like an older version of Taylor. It was like a soothsayer, like peeking through a window, like, is this Taylor in 40 years? Like, that's what it felt like, the way of the treatment of women on this show.
I felt like a creep watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, ew, like shivers.
It didn't make sense. Like, even with like, and I want to wrap up with Whitfield, man, and like, again, the missing the mark on what could have been a great villain. Like, you spent more time of like whipping and abusing women than he did actually devising a plan. I would have loved to see him devise a plan to take the ranch. You know what's crazy? They casually mentioned him paying the taxes of like how to get the ranch, more so than him actually showing him trying to get the ranch. It was more so they spent more time on him abusing women than they did. Like, did Jacob and Whitfield even have a face off? I don't remember. If they did, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah.
That was
pretty much.
But for 2 seasons, we didn't get a face off or dialogue between Jacob and Whitfield at all. And it's like, bro, like, what are we doing? Like, this is the adversary of this series. Jacob, Harrison Ford is like the hero that's at home, who's fighting at the home front till the prodigal son comes home, and I don't get a showdown with Jacob and Whitfield. Like, we got more face-off time with Karen Whitfield than we did with Jacob and Whitfield. It just didn't make sense. It did not make sense, man. I don't know.
He could have taken that whole ranch if he would have spent more time devising plans and, like, you know, traumatizing women. Like, you could have had that whole thing, dude. But no, you're getting off on beating women. Good for you.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, that's it for our wrap up, man. This will be a forgettable story in the next 2 years Until
Watch
next
1923, guys.
But no, man, thank y'all so much, man, for enjoying this this ride with us for good or bad. It was a very interesting ride. This month we got a lot coming up, guys. We got Accountant 2. We got Handmaid's Tale that debuts tomorrow as well. We have You coming out. We have The Last of Us coming out. I know Tristan is super excited about that. We got some Heat coming out this spring, guys, going into the summer. So please, man, we're gonna be wrapping up Daredevil as well pretty soon too. So man, look, like, share, subscribe. If you have any other shows or movies, documentaries, anything that you guys have an interest that you want us to cover, please, man, leave a comment under our podcast reviews. Again, man, road to 500. I think last time we checked today was at 441. So, man, please like, share with everybody. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Again, man, thank you so much for your support. For myself, for Marcy, for Tristan, this is the series finale of 1923. Catch you on the flip side.